a few years ago, I heard the term and I read it for about 2 minutes, and then I glazed over, and then I had to like completely rework my brain to try to understand it. So, and I was reading through prepping for the show yesterday, and I saw it kept coming up on your LinkedIn. It was lean, which I hadn't heard about, and then Six Sigma methodologies. And so, for anybody watching, bear with us because it's important.
Yeah.
And I want to have that basic understanding of it, but it's interesting from your source because you're transitioning, or it's transferring, I should say, from your own production into the customer's production. So I want to have sort of that high level discussion about Six Sigma and how it integrates into both your company and transfers to the customer.
Yeah, so I mean, those terms have been around for a long time in the methodologies. To some degree, the Six Sigma, there's a deep, it's called a toolkit. That's really what it is. They're both toolkits to accomplish a certain outcome. In terms of Six Sigma, there's a deep statistical side of it, and some of it is just more problem solving. It's a structure to say, I have this problem. Um, these are some methodologies to go around solving it. Lean is the same, but it's much more focused on elimination of waste and optimizing production. And again, it's a toolkit, and then the training and the learning is around which tools work and which don't. So automotive kind of started it. They're known, Japan, but even in the U.S., I really cut my teeth with John Deere, who has been using it for decades on the heavy-duty off-highway type equipment. So really look at it differently. You're not making hundreds of thousands of units. Maybe we're making 10,000 all the way down to 500 of a configuration. And it really is a different mentality around them. And then with our business, I'm certainly not the only one that we've got a lot of strength around these that we apply to our own production around. So waste elimination, a lot of people think, all right, you're just trying to cut jobs. It's really not the intent at all. It's a customer lean in the pure sense, eliminating waste. A customer's willing to pay for only a very small amount. Like they'll pay for you to torque that. They don't really want to pay for you to go wander around, find the bolts, go find your torque wrench. That's all waste. It's, mood is the term. But, a bunch of traveling around, reworking, if we get something to our assembly area and then we're grinding to get it to fit, that's waste. Customer doesn't want to pay for that. Why didn't you get it right back in the weld cell? So that's how we use it in the plant. And what we do is use that mentality when we discuss with customers. A lot of times they're getting pushed the initiatives that are coming down from their corporate around optimizing productivity. Things like Kaizen, 5S, let's clean things up. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. But those are just from that lean and that Six Sigma toolkit. So Six Sigma gets into, if we want to make some improvements, what sample sizes do we need to really say, yes, I've made an improvement versus that might just be normal variation. When you start talking about the predictive analytics by measuring bearing temperatures or vibration, then you start getting into, sorry if I'm just glazing everybody over right now, but I do love this stuff. So statistical process control is literally a methodology that if you're watching, a trend line of bearing temperatures going around or vibration, it says, 5 points in one direction, that is statistically significant. Something's going on. You need to go and look at that. If you have 3 points above what has been a normal range of variation, that's significant. You need to go look at that. So, in that sense, very directly, we're involved with the customers.
Yeah.
From a higher sense, they're getting pushed for how do they eliminate waste, whether it be literal product waste. We have a bunch of fines that we have to either mitigate through, tailings, or it's a lower value product. Like, sure, we sell that, but not at all. I'd rather make more of this. Same toolkits can apply. Not all of it, but some of them, we can directly, work with our customers and utilize.
Yeah, when you mentioned John Deere, and and again, companies like GE, they implemented it way back. They implemented, and you said it came strong out of Japan. In your business though, and you kind of touched on it, but I wanted to unpack it a little more. In your business though, you're not producing a million of these loaders, so the system is different. Is it is it more of a challenge? And it's interesting because you've come from that John Deere world where they are producing a very, you see the line up. There's 100 loaders lined right up, ready to go. That's the same system to produce each one. In your business, there must be another. Is that why lean is such an important part? Because Six Sigma is more based on that, like that, what that manufacturing process.
Yeah, I mean, even lean is as well, to be honest. A lot of it's, there's a few assumptions. Six Sigma, it's like it assumes you have a process that is normal and in control. Normal meaning literally, that bell-shaped curve. And even to know that, you have to have a lot of data points, 30 at a minimum, 100. And you're right, we never have that many data points in the traditional sense. Lean is the same way. A lot of the methodology is designed around, repetitive work, standard work, all of which is very applicable. But it's not standard work. Just means like this is exactly how the work is done, and we're going to do it the same way because then we know we're going to get similar quality out the back end. We get into where we have a mix of skilled tradesmen. There's still a lot of craft and artistry. There always is in welding in general, but when you start building our equipment, sometimes it doesn't make sense. No, we just need to, we have an apprenticeship program, and there's a little bit of journeyman training that goes on because you kind of just need to learn this craft. But wherever possible, we then try to tie in things like standard work that say, no, this is the way it needs to be done because it results in very consistent quality. So it's just from internal, and then I'll talk about how it applies to our customers. Internally, it really was a struggle because even though at John Deere we had some low volume going here, I was talking to one of my former master black belts, one of the terms used, I was like, man, we don't make anything. He's like, well, how many holes do you drill, on that piece of machine? I was like, oh, all right, yeah, we're drilling hundreds and thousands of holes. So you start looking at repeatability within your work centers, rather than that one particular type of equipment. You're driving efficiency and improvement within your work centers and work cells a little differently. And that's kind of what it applies to our customers. You have the added complexity that you're dealing with stuff from the earth, which is just never consistent. That is one thing that is almost guaranteed. You're in a general industrial facility, like it's consistent product type going in. You're in a mine, that mine phase progresses, all of a sudden your ore changes, and we end up getting into a lot of conversation with customers around how they deal with that. It's not behaving the same, it's harder. It's fun. It definitely presents a challenge, and some of those tools you just throw out the window because they don't apply at all.
It's and I think maybe actually I do have it wrong, but I'm going to take a swing at it. But what you're saying a little bit though is in the production, you can't look at it as a grand scale as if you're, let's say there's a semi truck getting assembled down the line. You almost have to you can't go for that goal because it's never a goal that's going to be reached because there's so much variation in the end product. So you have to find little pockets within that production that you can create consistency. Is that sort of what you're saying?
Yeah. I think if you're, at a mining facility, it'd be the same thing. You've got a bunch of, different pieces of equipment along a singular value chain. You look at more, all right, here, I'm going to draw boundaries around this area that seems to be a constraint. We had a mine that's, was constrained in terms of their capacity around just the recirculation loop. And, we actually took out one of our cage factors and put it in a nanosizer that didn't have just is able to produce the finished product at such a high rate that all of a sudden that they increased the capacity of the plant by 10% just because of the reduced amount of recirculation. So you can kind of say, all right, I'm going to focus on this area, and the customer brings in their own expertise. They bring in, the OEMs, and Kaizen is just a name for kind of a focused event where you evaluate the process and within a short time frame make very targeted improvements. We've started doing that a little with our customers, to have kind of a joint effort to drive some improvements.